All right, so as you guys knit along on your scarf, I want you to take a look at the visual aid section that I send out with the emails, and in that you will find a stitch library with a couple different variations of stitches that you can try out with just the purl and the knit stitch. So I want you to go through that and pick out a couple of stitches that you want to try out. So this one. So you'll see some of these in there, and go ahead and follow along, or if you want to improvise and kind of try your own combination of knit and purl and come up with a design that's uniquely something that you came up with, go for it. But there will be a list there, and that will also help get you in the habit of reading a pattern by just looking through a stitch library. So the last thing I want to talk about today are your circular needles that you got in your pack. So each of you should have a little pair of circular needles here. And these would be perfect for knitting a hat. So I'm going to close things out today by teaching you how to knit in the round, knit a loop around the circle, and that will be the entry-level information you need to start a hat. I'm not going to walk you all the way through hat making, but that will be the very early steps, and then I do encourage you guys to do a little bit of investigation after our class is over. So this will kind of be the last thing that we cover. So I'm going to do the long tail cast on, and as you can see, so you should each have a ball of yarn from Jimmy Wools in your pack, and I've pulled my yarn out from the center. And do remember to take a look at all of your care instructions, and they do actually give you a swatch gauge on there already for you if you use a size 4 needle, which the needles we got are a size 4.5 millimeter needle, so just a little bit bigger than what they recommend, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do the long tail cast on, which you'll remember from our previous videos, and then we'll check back in here when I'm done. Alright, so now at this point I have done a long tail cast on all the way around my loop, and this would be, if you're following a pattern, you would go through and make sure that you have the right number of stitches cast on. And a really important thing with knitting in the round is to make sure that your yarn, your cast-ons are all pointing in the same direction. So see how there's the loop end, and then there's this variation edge here. So all of these I need to make sure are pointing towards the center of the loop. If it's twisted in any way, so if this is twisted over like that, then you're going to get a twist in your work, and you'll create more like kind of an infinity scarf that loops around itself. So we want to make sure that all of these are aligned, facing the same direction. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flip the work. I'm going to put a stitch marker at the beginning of my work, and then I'm going to start knitting back the other direction, and I've just completed my circle. So now this is a full circle. And I'm now in the process of knitting a circle. So as you can imagine, if I kept knitting around and around, I would form a tube. So that is kind of the beginning stages of a hat. You might start with a 1 by 1 rib stitch or a 2 by 2 rib stitch, depending on the style. But I just wanted to give you guys a visual, an idea of how you use these things, since you already have them and they're in your kit. One more thing about circular needles. When you do first open a pack of new circular needles, they do tend to be very sort of springy. They want to close up because they've been wrapped up in a circle in the package. As you work with them and as they're out of that packaging, they will sort of relax a bit, and this will relax here, the actual tube in between the two needles. Now let me back up and show you how you can knit a flat scarf on circular needles. So I'm just going to reverse to the point where I finished my cast on. Slide that off. So I just finished casting on, and so here I am with my cast on, and I'm just gonna turn my work and go back the other direction, and I can keep working back and forth without ever connecting my loop and my circle, and I can knit a flat long object. And I usually do this like when I'm traveling so that I don't have two long knitting needle sticks sticking out, so I don't poke anybody in the elbow that's sitting next to me, and it's just a little more compact for travel and a little more flexible. So I'll just, when I'm traveling, I'll just slide my work back onto that loop there, and usually I'll just kind of stick my circular needles into my ball of yarn, and there we are. It's kind of all in one piece, ready to travel. I'll put it in a little tote bag so that the thread doesn't get tangled up on anything. But yeah. Alright. So hopefully at this point you guys feel comfortable knitting and purling. You feel comfortable experimenting with different knit and purl combinations, and you're prepared to possibly start reading a pattern or being a little more adventurous with your project choices in the future. You do have the materials to venture off into a couple different shape options. So thank you guys for joining me, and it has been lovely teaching this class. So thank you guys, and have a good, happy knitting adventure. Bye.